Hey guys, how you doing? Here I am again with another movie review. This time, I figured I'd get on here and talk about A House of Dynamite, the latest from Kathryn Bigelow, starring Idris Elba, Rebecca Ferguson, Gabriel Basso, Jared Harris, and Tracy Letts. And this basically follows three different sections in the government as they have to deal with the impending and incoming missile from an identified source that could basically destroy everything. So this is a movie I'm sure you've heard a lot about at this point. It's Kathryn Bigelow's return to the big screen, I believe, since Detroit, which is a film I love. And from what I've seen of Bigelow's movies, it's probably my favorite. I haven't seen Strange Days or anything like that, but I am familiar with her Oscar-winning and nominated work, of course, with The Hurt Locker and Zero Dark 30, both movies of which I really like. But I think Detroit was massively slept on when it came out, and as I said, I like it more than both those movies. And I think regardless how you feel about any particular film from Kathryn Bigelow, I do think that she is a very talented director, and there's no denying that. She knows how to build tension well, and that is most certainly the case with A House of Dynamite, especially in the first sequence of this movie, because it's split up, I believe, in 4 different segments. It's been a while since I've seen it, but you basically get this told in a Rashomon-esque fashion, from all the different perspectives of the people within the government and how each branch of the military operation is dealing with it. And yes, I do believe the first part of this movie is extremely tense. It really definitely filled me with a lot of dread and definitely dirged up some emotions out of me, especially in one scene, and I'll get into that later. It was effective, but I don't think just because a movie is fairly well made, that means that the rest of it really has much going for it, because Noah Oppenheim's script here is really bare bones. It follows all the same tropes that we've seen with these characters and archetypes, because they aren't really fully developed characters. One, it's like, oh, well, this guy's got a wife with a baby on the way, or, oh, they got kids at home, or, oh, that's my daughter. You know, it doesn't really go beyond that at all, and I'm kind of like scratching my head thinking, why would Kathryn Bigelow pick to do this movie in this particular script? Now, I do think it does bring up some very interesting ideas about military intelligence, and also, you know, what our, money is going towards. I think that it says some interesting things about the leaders that fulfill the roles in this country, even though, of course, it's coming from a different vantage point than what we have now, we'll put it that way. I still think that there's a lot of ideas that hold water in this movie, but ultimately, I don't think that they really go beyond that, because the rest of the movie is so surface level. And you really have to sit there and think, too, why was it done out of narrative sequence? Sure, there's some reveals where it's like it comes together later, like, oh, okay, that's what's going on there. But there was no reason for this not to be told in, a very, kind of linear style. Like, there's no reason for it to be told outside of this, except to be artsy, I guess. I don't know. I really don't think that it adds up to much. And like I said, there was one scene in the first section of the movie, which I was referring to earlier, which did get me teary-eyed. But I think it was because it was something that we can all relate to, and, is rooted in some, tangible emotion. That doesn't mean that it's necessarily earned, because it's only something that we can identify with. We can't necessarily latch on to anything that's going on with this character. And we've seen this so many times before. It's still effective, but it's ultimately pretty manipulative. And I think the fact it's bringing up all the ideas, it's like, oh, what would we do in this situation if there was a missile coming at us? It really doesn't feel like it answers it in any thought-provoking fashion. And I have to compare this to Sidney Lumet's Failsafe, which I was thinking about the entire runtime, which has a lot more depth to the situations at hand and the characters, and a lot more really compelling ideas and kind of insight to how the situation might be dealt with. Here's just like, Was it Russia? Was it North Korea? I don't know, but the movie never answers it, and that's fine. I mean, I'm not necessarily looking for an answer in that regard, but I at least expect you to land on something. At least bring up some kind of idea within this premise, as opposed to, hey, this is technically what's going on, we're going to tell it out of narrative sequence, and then boom, that's it. Now, I was kind of enjoying this movie to some extent. On a very surface level, I'm like, okay, I appreciate some of the dialogues that are going on here. And then you get to the ending, which I'm sure you all have heard about by this point in time. That is like one of the most anticlimactic, most abrupt, random endings I've ever seen. And that really brought my score quite the notch down. Because I don't really know what to take away from this or why it was structured that way. It's just so bizarre. And there's so many great actors in this movie, like the ones I mentioned. Even though I will say Rebecca Ferguson has a weird accent going on, because I'm like, is she trying to do an American accent? Because she's done it well before, from my understanding. So I don't know what's going on there. Idris Elba's charismatic when he's on screen. Nice to see, you know, the likes of Anthony Ramos, Moses Ingram. I was like trying to put my finger on who that was. I was like, okay, Obi-Wan. And of course, Greta Lee, who doesn't really get a whole lot to do. I feel bad for Greta Lee. She's really been getting the short end of the stick this year, at least in this and Tron Ares. But yeah, I mean, I just feel like nothing really amounts to much. And that is my biggest problem with this movie, because it feels like a doom scroll more than anything. And that isn't really solving our problems. Like I said, it posits some interesting ideas, but it really doesn't do much with it except bring it up. And then that's that. So yeah, I think that this is a huge disappointment. I think this movie is flatlined ever since Venice, which it got great reviews at. But I think, you know, we're quickly seeing that this is not going to be an Oscar contender like we thought it might have been. Which is unfortunate, because I really was looking forward to the return of Kathryn Bigelow. But alas, this is what we got. You can check it out on Netflix if you'd like. Definitely see what you think about it for yourself. But for me, I'm going to give A House of Dynamite a 5.5 out of 10. Not particularly a bad movie by any means, but I really think outside of the technical aspects of this film, it does leave a lot to be desired. And so, yeah, go into this if you wish, but let me know down in the comments below what you thought about A House of Dynamite if you've seen it. Did you enjoy the movie at all, or did you like it a lot more than everyone else, or did you absolutely hate it? Would love to hear all your thoughts and more. And please smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more reviews like this. Like I've been saying, the next review for Netflix is going to be Ballad of a Small Player, but I also have to get to Predator Badlands and so many other movies that I'm getting the chance to see this weekend and onwards. So please stay on the lookout for all those reviews and more, and I'll talk to you guys very soon.